It has now been 7 months since I released the first episode of Dave Does Disney, but it's been over a year since I shot it. And because Disney is less satisfied with its own output than Mark Zuckerberg, a lot of things have changed since then. Like Epcot. It's now plastered with everyone's favorite character, Duffy. Who the hell is Duffy?
Oh, yes, my good friend, of course.
Turns out Duffy is the Disney Bear! Oh, this newcomer thinks he can just waltz in uninvited and take the Disney Bear title? After Pooh, Humphrey, Baloo, Little John, the Country Bears, the Gummy Bears, Brer Bear, Brother Bear, and the Bear in a Big Blue House all toil endlessly at this company without recognition, this guy can just declare himself the representative of all bears Disney? So Duffy is a bear that Minnie made for Mickey because he was lonely on his international journeys, so he needed someone even more bland and corporate mascot-y than he had become over the years. And it worked because kids really love Duffy. He has no personality, no established character traits, he's just cute and easy to dress up for the holidays, and the kids are eating this up.
I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
Aside from one major change at Hollywood Studios, which we'll get to later, the park that changed the most is, naturally, the most popular park, Magic Kingdom. Now, there are some different shows and parades now, but I won't talk about all that because who cares about parades? They don't make sense anyway. I mean, where would Julie Andrews, Dick Van Dyke, Robin Williams, Bob Newhart, Ava Gabor, that guy from Full House, and a baby elephant really be hanging out together? The greatest fanfiction ever, that's where. But updates to the attractions, that's worth discussing. For instance, the Tiki Room apparently dropped its new management and went back to the classic Disneyland show. Because if Gilbert Gottfried isn't good enough for Aflac's birds, he's not good enough for Disney's. Oh, and Pirates of the Caribbean replaced CGI Bill Nighy with live-action Ian McShane.
Hi, Lovejoy. Hey, it's Lovejoy.
And whatever, the damage was already done with Pirates, but it just reinforces the fact that they're treating Pirates like a commercial instead of as its own work of art. Space Mountain saw a few minor changes. They've added some more galactic lighting effects and a bit of music, and while it's not the full kick-ass score from old Mikey that Disneyland has, it does share a lot of the motifs. But so far, most of these have been minor changes or reversions to a time from the past. Let's look at some slightly more major renovations with the Haunted Mansion. First off, there's a whole new cemetery. For a long time, this was the only stretch of cemetery in the line, with the only particularly special thing about it being Madame Leota's eyes. Well, and the LucasArts/Sierra-style gravestone epitaphs.
One night, such a pity, she tripped on her kitty and fell off the cliff with a splat.
The good news is, he's dead. The bad news is, he bred.
But now they've added a new cemetery, which not only makes the line more fun, but splits the line so that it's slightly shorter for those who don't care about the cemetery. The new stuff contains interactive music, a dead poet who listens to your suggestions, an easy-to-solve riddle, bubbles, lots more adventure game epitaphs, and plenty of homages to the various Imagineers and artists who made the classic ride possible. The downside is, to make room for the new cemetery, they had to remove some trees that previously obscured the show building, so the illusion is no longer as solid as it used to be. Still, it's fun to have things like this in a line to make the wait less unbearable. Oh, and the Hitchhiking Ghosts have been replaced by new CGI versions. Huh. I really don't know how to think about this. Sure, using CGI on a screen doesn't have the same charm as using animatronics on a conveyor belt behind a two-way mirror, but the method shouldn't matter as much as the result, and this version allows for less uniformity with new gags, including ghosts messing with your very head. And yeah, I came down on the CGI Davy Jones and Pirates, but that was because it looked out of place and because I was already ranting about Pirates anyway. This doesn't look as out of place, especially in a ride that has things like Madame Leota, but it still doesn't look quite natural to the rest of the mansion. I don't know, I need a moment to think this over. I'm gonna grab a snack from Buddy Hackett and... what? That's not a snack bar, that's a work wall. A work wall behind which they're building the new Fantasyland? That is awesome! Look at this, a new Journey of the Little Mermaid ride, probably like the one California Adventure just got, a new Seven Dwarfs Mine Car roller coaster, a new circus where there will be 2 copies of the Dumbo ride, and a lot of new Beauty and the Beast stuff. This is a much better use of the space than Toontown's Opposite Coast Fair. Now, even with this expansion, Magic Kingdom's Fantasyland still won't have everything Disneyland's does. In fact, they'll have one ride fewer in common because Florida's version of Scary Adventures will close when there's a new Snow White ride in town. But it does mean that it will no longer be just a pale shadow of the California Fantasyland. It'll now have plenty of its own to offer. And I can't wait to see it all in... sometime over the next 2 or 3 years. Damn it, construction, move faster! In the meantime, however, we have the most recent complete addition to the Magic Kingdom, a children's card game. It's Sorcerers of the Magic Kingdom, a scavenger hunt of sorts in the vein of Epcot's Kim Possible game. Hades is attempting to find the scattered pieces of some magic crystal so he can take over the Magic Kingdom, and he's recruiting Disney villains to help him out. As the Magic Kingdom's only defense, Merlin is recruiting sorcerers such as you to stop these villains. You get several cards. First, a key that unlocks portals to where the characters are, insert reference here, and then a number of spell cards that can be used to fight against the villains. There are several different hunts, each set in a single land with a single main villain. So Main Street has Cruella de Vil, Fantasyland has either Ursula or Maleficent, Frontierland has either Ratcliffe or Dr. Facilier, and Adventureland has either Scar, Jafar, or Yzma. Each hunt basically follows more or less the same formula. First you go to a portal that sets up the exposition, then a portal where you fight a bad guy with a spell, then a portal where you have to use the Sorcerer's Crest on the back of the spell cards to do something, then a boss portal where you fight the land's villain with 2 spells, and then you win! There's no prize, but the cards are collectible! Then, once you win one game, you can either take up your next assignment at a new land's game, or go do something else with your life. There is so much I love about this in theory. I like the idea of a park-wide attraction, giving the Magic Kingdom a unique sort of cohesiveness, like this is all part of a single world, but there are a few weaknesses. For one thing, the locations of the portals are randomly assigned within each land, so the same screen may be used for Step 1 of one person's game and Step 3 for another. This is good because it means if you're in line behind people, you're less likely to see the same clip too many times, but if the line's long enough, you're going to see something at least twice anyway. I only played 3 rounds of this game, and I felt like I had seen the whole thing. Also, waiting in line only to realize that you're at the wrong portal is a real pain. Although at least they tell you you're at the wrong portal.
You are at the wrong portal! You need to go to this one here!
Wait, the card actually does remember what portal you're supposed to go to?
What else do you know, card? What other secrets are you remembering?
I guess the randomized destinations are also good because you won't be in line with the same people each time, but it's bad because it means they don't get to make good use of the locations. There's nothing special about, say, being at the portal outside Pirates of the Caribbean. It's just where you happen to be seeing something going on somewhere else in very cheap animation. Making everything interchangeable is efficient, but it means that nothing gets to be special. And speaking of interchangeable, it doesn't seem to make any difference which spells you use. There will be a slightly different spell animation with each one, but the results will always be the same, which cuts down on a lot of the motivation to collect them all. The cards do have stats and classes, so you would think those things would, make a difference. And yes, making them interchangeable is easier on kids who aren't quite so card game minded, everyone's a winner, blah blah blah.
Only grown-ups are allowed to play children's card games.
But I hope in the future they introduce a more challenging mode where the cards you choose really do matter, because adding even the tiniest bit of strategy would make this game a lot more fun. Also, the cameras that read your cards aren't always that well hidden. Also, what happens when you beat all the villains? Does it just start over? Or do you ever get to fight Hades? Because a boss battle hunt throughout the entire Magic Kingdom would be great, but having to beat 8 of basically the exact same game to get to it would just be tedious. And why isn't there a game for Tomorrowland? Couldn't they use Zurg from the animated series, or, I don't know, Long John Silver from Treasure Planet, or somebody from Atlantis? I never saw those movies, would that even make sense? I do like that for once they acknowledge that some of these villains are dead and Hades is rescuing them from hell in exchange for helping him out. Of course, if they get something like that canonically correct, there's got to be something else they screw up. Ursula's already dead, but Ariel's still a mermaid. Why?
But Perdita and all 101 puppies in hiding.
There are only 99 puppies. Pongo and Perdita count as 2 of the 101. And come on, we have a game centering around Merlin, but no love for Archimedes? I hope Disney does end up developing this into something really, really cool, because there's a lot of potential here. It's a wonderfully creative idea, and it could set a basis for new types of attractions. And since they already have the system in place, it can't be that hard to update it as time goes on. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a holiday version at the very least. As it stands now, kids will probably really like the game, and it's worth trying out, but don't be surprised if you find yourself distracted by a short wait time for Hall of Presidents. Phew, that was close. For a minute I thought I was going to be completely positive about all the new changes. Just feels really dirty not being at least a little bit curmudgeonly. There, now that we're all caught up on the parks I already made videos about, join us next time as we finally move on to Disney's Hollywood Studios. Seriously, I mean it this time.
And you look like a victim of a surgical crime.